my veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capping space. I won't stop till I hear him say,
well, welcome in to Married at First Sight, Denver. This is episode 5011, and it's called Doubts, Dilemmas, and Drag. How you doing, Kimberly? How you doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I will say this without going into a lot of details about our other panelist, Sean Stokes.
Mhm.
Those of you that are familiar with Sean, and just kind of keep him in your prayers. He's had a loss in his family, and we just want to lift him up in prayer or good thought, and just to know that we love him, we're thinking
Yeah.
of him, and that God is with him. Okay.
Amen. Will do.
Amen. And on that note, well, how was Palm Sunday for you today? Because I really enjoyed myself. I almost didn't make it back in time for this.
I'm glad you did. It was good for me. I enjoy it. Just the season of, thinking about our Savior. And it was a good day for me. Cold here in North Carolina, though. It went down to the 50s.
Right. Yes, it oh, did it? Okay. Oh my goodness. And it's so funny because I was just listening to one of your videos and I thought I heard you say something about you were thinking about going to the beach soon.
Yes, I am. Yep, still trying to get it in. Yes, in the next week or so.
Okay. But maybe it'll go back up to like the 70s.
Maybe, but I don't even mind. I just love beach therapy, just getting that balcony room and being able to listen to the ocean or maybe stick a
Oh,
toe in the
okay.
water.
Okay. Oh, you know what? And you're right, because the ocean has its own sound, and the water, the
Yeah.
waves. That is so important. You're right. I love, something I love about your channel too. Those of you, if you don't have Kimberly, if you're not subscribed to her channel, you better head over there right now.
Yes.
She does not only the recaps and the live watches of Married at First Sight live on Wednesday, where you watch on your own device, but we get to chat live, like we're doing here. And then
Hmm.
she comes on doing the commercial breaks and she chats it up and she really points out things that otherwise we might miss, right? So you need
Yeah.
to go over. And then not only that, but she does counseling of finances and
Yeah.
budgeting and planning. And she has several videos on travel. And recently she did one that is a music video, a gospel
Hmm.
music video. So you guys definitely need to go over and check her out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. I see people coming in. Hey there, Colton. Hey, Monique, moderator extraordinaire.
Yeah.
You guys, please like the video. If Monique hasn't told you enough, I'm telling you to like the video. Like the video. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna go ahead and get started. We're here for a good time, but not for a long time. I was just telling Kimberly when we were behind in the green room. I was just telling her before we started the show. What do you guys think? This is my one of my biggest complaints about Married at First Sight, the American version, right? Why is it after we have decision day? Why is it that we see the we don't get the reunion right after that? Like, I think it's
Yeah.
kind of anticlimactic. What do you guys think? Tell me what you think in the chat. Put a one in the chat if you also think it's anticlimactic. It's not that much fun. We're kind of watching these filler episodes until they put together the reunion, but I don't understand why.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, do you understand why, Kimberly? Is it just me?
I think they just try to stretch it out just to get the funding and keep the people watching.
Mhm.
That's it. And maybe somebody thought it was a great idea and thought we would care, but honestly, we don't.
No, no,
So
I
I'm
give
with
less
you.
than two rats booty
Right.
backs. I don't
Right.
care. I don't care about these people. If I never see them again at the reunion, it'll be too soon. Okay,
Yeah.
this okay. Take a vote. Also take a vote. Okay, put a one in the chat if you think this is Married at First Sight's worst season ever. Right? Put a one in the chat. Oh, thank you, Monique. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Hey, Colton, let me get some of these in here. Let me star that one for Kimberly. Um, yeah, put a one in the chat if you're watching. Are you guys even watching? Are you just being really kind and sweet and supportive of us? And you just come here every week to hear what we got to say? Maybe
Mm,
they may not even know it's so terrible. Wait a minute, let me see. Okay. Welcome into this is a new person to me. Maybe been in the bushes for a while. I don't know, but welcome in. Welcome in. Your favorite darkness says last few episodes were better. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, in some ways, because we're now getting at the truth of the matter, right? We're
mhm.
starting to get some little truths here and there. Do you watch the after party? Your favorite darkness? Are you watching the after party? Because to me, the after party is better than all of it. Um, think the Chris season was more torture. Yeah, in a different kind of way. Yes. Okay, you do watch the after party. Okay, good. Because I think that's a good one. I think the after party this season, especially Keisha Knight Pulliam, I think has been doing an excellent job in trying to pull out the truth from these various castmates. And even though Emily was giving her a hard time, and now we know why, because turns out
Right.
she's a cheater, pumpkin eater, and she didn't want nobody to find that out, right?
Yeah.
She didn't want nobody to find that out. But speaking of Emily, we're gonna get started with our first couple. And let's see, let me mark the time so I can get our timestamps in correctly. Okay. Uh, the first couple we're gonna do is here. Um, that is Chloe and Michael. Chloe and Michael, right? So I'm really concerned. What are you thinking about these two people? Like, does it seem to you like Michael is kind of regressing, and now that he's gotten the drawer, so to speak, now all of a sudden he's got all these concerns and doubts. What do you think, Kimberly? Is it just me?
Yes, no, the tables are turning now. It seems that Michael has had a change of heart for some reason. And it's sad to see because I was like ready to pull up on Chloe, like, don't do Michael like that. And now Michael is the one that's changing. I'm like, Michael, these people really gave you a second chance at love, a second chance at a marriage. And now it just seems like he's giving up. But I think what it is the pressure from Chloe. Chloe is putting on too much too soon with the five children at a time. She wants this huge house and a lot of land. And I don't think Michael is able to speak up and really say, hey, this is too much.
Hmm.
And communicate his true feelings. He's just kind of shying away, like, okay, yeah, if that's what you want, even though I can't meet it, he's not willing to speak up and say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, but let me ask you this though. So you bring up a very good point that Michael may not feel like he's able to share with her his true feelings, but I think that he here's a man who has shown us that he can wear a dress, he can wear her pearls, he can scrunch his hair up and wear it asymmetrical. This is what I've been saying all along about Michael. Michael screams insecurity, and this is why he
Hmm.
is unable to talk to his wife, because not because she's a bad person, not because like Claire, she's being overbearing or controlling. None of those
Hmm.
things about that we've noticed or observed about Chloe, but basically just that he is this insecure man that is not willing to communicate with her. And I don't understand why these type of things haven't even been brought up to Dr. P or some of the other therapists that are on staff. What do you think?
Yeah, that's true. And I believe that's why Dr. Pia called them out last week, just saying that they were not being authentic. We could say that it was more so Chloe, but I think, yeah, I think she was talking to both Chloe and Michael, not just one or the other, because they
Right.
are being very reserved and kind of,
Hmm.
trying to be so soft. But I think they both need to open up more and find out what the other person truly wants. And if that is something that you can meet, but it's so common in relationships, it's like people want the title, but they don't want to do the work behind the title. And that's what I see here with Chloe and Michael. They want the marriage, they want the kids, they want that
Hmm.
companionship, but they're not willing to open up. They're not willing to compromise. So those are going to be issues.
Those are going to be issues. And I'm just thinking, poor Michael and poor Chloe, you guys waited till you were darn near 40 years old to go on Married at First Sight to get married. Because why? I mean, what was going on in these two individuals' lives? Because according to all accounts, Michael is wildly successful in his career. Chloe
Hmm.
seems to be doing well. So why is it they just can't make this thing work? I don't see anything so bad about Chloe or anything. And
Thank you.
apparently the hot and heavy time was on point. I haven't heard anybody
Mhm.
say anything that it wasn't. So,
Right.
they get they both get those little stars in their eyes when they talk about that part of it. Um, but what do you think about they went to look at a house, right? Because the other thing of it is these people have animals, 5 pets. Get that, count them. One, two,
Mm.
three, four, five. And so when they talk about living together, there's no way that she can move into his apartment with her animals. There's no way that he can move into her apartment. So what do? So they go look at this house, and what was the house? Almost $5,000 a month to lease it.
Yeah, close enough. That was
Well,
a mess.
yeah,
I'm
like
like, oh my
4,800.
goodness.
Yeah, 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And and and
terrible.
Mi and what was Michael doing? Was he trying to nitpick the details of the interior of the house? He didn't think it was modern enough or this thing or that thing? What?
And he said the bathroom was only big enough for him. So I would not be paying no 4,000 a month or 5K whatever for no house that is has a bathroom that small. This is not
Wow.
wise.
No, not wise. So it that being the case, if you were in just think about it. If you were in this situation and you were married to this person or really cared about this person and were going to get married, what would be some resolution that we could give or offer to them, like about those 5 animals? Do they have to keep all 5 of them, or what do you think?
Now you can't talk about people's pets and things now. So
They gotta shut
you
my
know
whole
you
channel
you
down.
you know people ain't trying to get rid of the pets whether they can afford them or not.
In a loving way. I don't mean like
Yeah.
lay them down to rest or anything. I mean, like,
Yeah.
give them away, let them be adopted to a great, another home, and maybe you can
Mhm.
visit them there.
Yeah.
I know recently a girlfriend of mine who got a lot more busy with work and traveling, decided that it was time for her to rehome her little small dog with a friend,
Mm.
and she's able to go visit the her pet, and I guess maybe
Okay.
even get the pet to come back home with her for, half a day or a day, whatever that
Okay.
thing is. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand why people I
Yeah.
get why people like I have pets. I've had pets off and on throughout my life, and I love them.
Mhm.
But I don't raise them up to the level of human beings. I don't
Mm.
really fall in with that thinking that like my pet is my kid. I got
Mhm.
kids. I got real human children. So like
Right.
and there's nothing like them. Like if somebody said it's a choice between my animals and my children, well, guess who I'm gonna pick, you know?
Right.
But I don't know. I just think I don't see why the two of them can't work through this. I feel like Michael is not talking, not communicating. And here's the thing: they're both so articulate too. They are so
Mhm.
articulate. Their conversations are like you almost need a thesaurus and a dictionary to follow their conversation. They're very well spoken, but yet
Yeah.
they don't be saying nothing. Just not saying nothing.
Right.
Talking loud and saying
Yeah.
nothing. You know. So I don't know. That's just my thought.
Yeah.
My
Yeah. And
thoughts
they
about
also
mhm.
mentioned on the part of him still not telling his parents about this whole process. To me, that's kind of you pushing it now.
Yeah. I think so too. I think so too. And the thing I think about it that I wish that Chloe would have said to him, because I think she's not being fully truthful about this. She's trying to let it slide. She's
Mhm.
trying not to let it bother her. But as a viewer, every time they mention it or he mentions it or the therapist when they talked about it in front of Dr. Pia, in her face, I see that there's a fear. And for me as a woman, I would be fearful too because we know this is crazy. Married at first sight. It's
Mhm.
an experiment, right? It's crazy.
Yes.
And most parents that are not from our generation or my generation or even, my generation, because these people are young enough to be my kids. But the thing of it is most people would think it's crazy, but okay, he got stood up by the first bride, but here's the second
Mhm.
bride. Why not tell your mother? Because doesn't he think about how Chloe feels? Like I would feel like he doesn't want me. I would feel like this is just a game he's playing because he's not even serious enough to tell his mother about it.
Right, or he's not hopeful, he's not trusting the process. It would bring up a lot of concern for me. And it's kind of like eloping, though. That's the common thing to do now, too, is eloping. So in my mind, it kind of seems like that's what they did since Michael isn't telling his family about what he's doing. He's just going to pop up and say, hey, I've been married for 3 months, or, whenever he decides to tell it.
Hmm. Yeah, I get what you're saying. If you were in this process, would you tell? You think you would tell your parents?
Yes, both times. Yes, if I was in Michael's situation, I would
Hmm.
have told them the first time around, and then again, because I'm just thinking how it would make them feel not to know. I'm very close with my parents. We talk and I share my, important moments with them. And this is an important moment. You're married and you want your person to feel special. You want them to feel wanted. And hiding them from your family doesn't give them the opportunity to feel those things.
Right, right, right. Yeah. It doesn't. It doesn't. Your favorite doctors. I'm gonna go back to this comment. I thought this was interesting. They say, "Who wants a high-strung person like Chloe?" I say, "Yeah, but he wears dresses, so nobody's perfect." Okay. She is
Right.
high strung. She does have anxiety. And we see this with other cast members too. We see this with I believe in part with Becca. Becca,
Hmm.
she seems to have a lot of anxiety. And I think
Yeah.
it's why we see her crying and whining all the time throughout this season. We've seen that, right? I think
Hmm.
that Emily also has a lot of anxiety. How she seems to deal with it is she self medicates with what? With alcohol.
Yes.
So a lot of people, myself included, have dealt with or are dealing with anxiety issues. Okay,
Hmm.
it just comes across differently for different people. Some people, they wear it better than other people. They can hide it from their friends and family or people that don't know them well, but a lot of us deal with high anxiety. You're going
Right.
through this process. I think this process is just natural to have high anxiety
Yes,
because
for sure.
the thing, yeah, the thing of it is, and I'm just gonna say this and we're gonna wrap this up. The thing of it is, do you feel like Chloe is actually starting to fall for Michael,
I
Kimberly?
I do because he's just being so easygoing and just so caring. But I think that
Mhm.
he should really open up more because I don't think she's getting the real him. But yeah, she's falling harder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think she is. I think the thing of it we have to remember is mostly with women. Women tend to give themselves when they give themselves physically, they tend to also give themselves emotionally. Whereas men maybe not so much, right? And
Hmm.
I don't want to generalize, but men can compartmentalize the hot and heavy time and how they really feel about a person separate from the hot and heavy time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll move along. That was good to talk about them. But we're going to move over to uh, a couple that has really caused a lot of conflict between the. Let me get that comment off the screen. Between the other couples, at least this lady right here, Clarapist, Claire and Cameron. And it's funny because at the very beginning of the episode, we see Claire. She's doing kind of like a car talk. She's in the car, and I guess she's filming this with her maybe her iPhone or whatever, and she's talking into the iPhone, and she's telling us how she is so frustrated with Cameron because he's not calling her back, and she's just gonna have to give up on him. What do you make of that, Kimberly? What do you make of that crap?
Finally, where are the hand claps? I'm so excited to finally hear it because I've said from the beginning, I would, right, thank you. I would have been done with Cameron as soon as he pulled his health scare episode because he was already halfway out of the house at that point. So it wasn't anything that warranted Claire to be so into Cameron and caring about his health and, just checking in on him because the whole time he was not really giving her the same energy while he was in the house. He had moved out several times. So it was so good to finally hear that she's over the relationship, doesn't want anything from her. Now, it was sad when she said she texted him happy birthday. And I think the only thing he said was like, thanks. And I was like, now that's kind of low, Cameron. But there's been Cameron the whole time. So I didn't expect much, but it's still kind of sad to see him like keep digging and just pushing her off. And then she wanted to keep trying. So I'm glad to see Claire finally giving up.
Hmm. And I think, well, let me just add to this, and I love what you said, but I'm gonna devil's advocate on this. I don't think that she ever really cared about whether or not he responded to her. I think, my personal opinion, I really think this is Claire putting on an act for the camera, like she has done all season long, all 25, 26 weeks that we've been watching this show.
Hmm.
Um, and we still got about 4 or 5 more. Can you believe it? I think she's putting on an act. I really do. I think she's the queen master manipulator. I think that
Hmm.
she figured out early on that she didn't like Cameron for whatever reason. We're not really sure about that, although I have my theories. And those of you that follow me know that I always say with some of the men, we'll find out later that some of them are either bisexual, homosexual, gay, whatever the politically correct term is today that we're calling
Hmm.
it. And I think we see this. I wonder if I see this. I'm gonna say me because it's just me. I wonder if I see this with Claire. I don't even know if she likes men. I don't get that feeling.
Mm.
She reminds me of, who was that husky built with the real strong shoulders that was married to the Asian guy a couple seasons back. She was a nurse, but she got upset because he said that she wasn't a nurse because she had one last class to pass or whatever.
Oh,
I
yeah, I think we mentioned her before.
Yeah, I can't think of her name right now. Anybody, if you're in the chat, if you can think of her name, the lady that was a nurse, and she had, like Claire, I think she was short and she was mighty with those bulldogish shoulders. But anyway,
Mhm,
I just think some of these people don't like the gender that they've been paired with. And I think
mhm.
that Claire possibly, I don't know. I mean, I have, no evidence. She hasn't talked to me. She hasn't called me back today or anything. But but I don't know. I just get this gut feeling that Claire is not into men like that, you know, and it really wouldn't matter to her if Cameron had liked her, if Cameron had been, maybe, let's say, for example, let's say instead of Cameron, let's say they had given her Brennan instead as a husband from the beginning. I don't think she would have liked him either. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that's going to be handsome enough. She's talked about in her previous dating life that none of the men that she's ever dated has ever taken her home to meet their family. They don't give her public displays of affection. So there's something kind of creepy about this lady to me. There's just something real
Mhm.
creepy about Claire. I don't know what it is. I think it'll come out later. um, it'll come out in the wash. But Cameron,
Yeah.
what do we make of Cameron? Because Cameron, he has been spilling all the tea on poor Emily about how Emily was cheating on her husband. She was out at the club and she started kissing and making out with an Australian dude. What do you think about that?
I'm just shocked that they were able to keep that a secret until the after party now. I don't know if I could have held that in. I don't Brennan did good. I'm proud of Brennan, but it's like Cameron just wanted to be messy. Now I'm sure if it was up to him, as we see he did spill it, he let it out. And I think that it was just his opportunity. Him and Clarapis could have been perfect together because they are both messy. And
Mhm.
it's crazy that they really let each other get in the head because I think both of them assumed that the other person wasn't attracted, even though I think Claire did
She
actually say she
started
wasn't
it.
attracted to him.
Yeah,
Right.
she started it. She
Yeah.
said, "Well, since we," she started on the first night
Yeah.
the night they got married. She said, "Well, since we clearly aren't attracted to one another," and you
Yeah.
could see the look on his face. He was like shocked, like, "What are you talking about, lady?"
Right.
But he didn't say anything. He kinda just went along with it and didn't say anything because now he's probably thinking to himself, "Well, since you're saying we're clearly not attracted, even though you didn't really bother to ask me, then that
Yeah.
must mean that you're not attracted to me." And so I think at that point he said, "Well, okay," he kinda pulled back. Like
Yep.
he doesn't want to catch a case. He's trying to hot and heavy time her, and then she's saying, "No, this is SA." You
Hmm.
SA'd me. So I don't blame him. I mean,
Right.
she's ratchet. She's really ratchet.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think Claire's ratchet. I said it and I'm not taking it back. I think that the ladies pulled one over a lot of people's eyes this season. A lot of people
Mhm.
thought that the men were so horrible. And I'm not saying the men are perfect because I think there's a lot to be said about these men. These are not good men. They weren't ready for marriage. They were immature. You got Austin, who's a total baby. You've got Brennan, who doesn't know how to express himself. He doesn't want to deal with
Mhm.
his emotions, and he doesn't do well even when they're going to therapy or they're with the counselors. He won't listen to them. He won't follow the exercises that they gave him to do. So
Mhm.
I'm not saying the men are a stroll in the park either, but
Right.
the women have deceived the audience though because they had us thinking that they were all being silenced when turns out they weren't the ones being silenced. The men were being silenced. Brennan,
Yeah.
well, he chose to keep Emily secret to kind of protect her from all of America, but we already knew
Right.
she was loose in the pants. We all knew she was hot in the pants, and she was giving it up to anybody that would take it. You know,
Mhm.
that's Emily, and she
Yeah.
ain't the first variation of this white girl wasted that we've seen. Yeah, I said it because that's what she called herself, white girl wasted. Gets
Mm.
drunk and gives it up to anybody that wants it. So, like, I guess she's on good birth control because there's no kids yet. But anyway, I digress. We're going to move on to the next group, the next
Mhm.
couple, because these folks are a mess. So, what do you think about Becca and Austin? Let me get this off the screen right quick.
Oh,
These
Becca,
comments.
Becca, Becca.
Becca, Becca,
It's
Becca.
like, and Becca said she was so glad to be back home. It was funny. She was like, I feel like I'm surrounded by love. But she's still missing Austin. I'm not surprised there either because they, from the beginning, just seemed like, oh, this is going to last. They were finishing sentences and they were just so on the same page
They
with
were
their
the
likes
it
and
couple at
desires.
the beginning, weren't they?
They were, and it's
These two.
we need to flash back to it because now it's like, oh, they can't stand each other. Becca's yelling at Austin. Austin's ignoring her, cheating with the producer. It's like a whole different world going on, but yet Becca still misses Austin. So this lets me know that they didn't really give it a chance because when you really give it your all, when you come to this point of separating and going your own ways and deciding to say no and get a divorce, you really can sit in that and have peace with your decision because
Yeah.
you tried during the season, you tried during the process, but you could tell they didn't try. She was too pressed on him not wanting her to get the jacket dirty, him not wanting to have hot and heavy time with her. They were
That
too
was a big
focused
one
on the
for her.
wrong things.
The wrong thing. That was a big one for her. That was a big
Yes.
one. And then I feel like Emily did a lot of pressuring, and that's why I say
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna call it. I've been calling it all season with this one about this. I didn't feel it was right, nor would have felt it was right if it was reversed and he was pressuring her for hot and heavy time. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna happen when it happens, Becca. That's gonna happen when it happens. Either he wants to give you the D or he doesn't want to give you the D. You can't make him.
Yes.
That would be SA, right? That would be
Right.
that would be against the law. And I mean, I would think that any woman that's worth her grain of salt and any man that's worth his grain of salt will want
Mm-hmm.
intimacy to come that the person chooses to give it to them, right?
Yeah, naturally, just a
Naturally, yeah.
natural flow.
Yeah, natural flow. But this guy, but speaking of Austin, let me talk about him a little bit. Did you notice the scene they had this episode where he went to do some exercising, some boxing with none other than Michael, right? And we know Michael, he
Yeah.
trains and he does boxing. And I
Mhm.
mean, I'm sorry, once again, this is another person I think that was thrown in that's maybe with the wrong gender. Because
Mhm.
this man got so excited when he saw Michael, I thought he was gonna have an orgasm. I mean,
No,
did you
that's
see what
funny.
he said? He said, "Oh, you got that six pack," and I don't know if you caught it or not. Let me tell you something. If you go back and watch that scene between Austin and Michael, Austin, his femininity came out. That's I'm gonna put it like that, okay? If you've ever
Mm.
seen a man that's undercover or down low and they're very masculine most of the time, especially when they're with other men, but because he's attracted, I believe, to Michael, his femininity came out and it was quite weird to
Ah,
watch.
I
It was
missed
quite
that.
bizarre. Well, I caught it because you know I have to watch these things several times with my ADHD. I
Yes.
gotta watch it several times to really understand and get the notes right. But I watched that scene and I'm just telling you, if you saw something different, let me know. But I think yeah. Oh yeah. You're saying Michael is pretty cute. He is. He is pretty
Mhm.
cute to be fair. But my point is, I'm a woman and I'm straight. I'm strictly on the D thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for no other woman. I can.
No.
I'm very flattering to women though that are beautiful. If they have a beautiful outfit on, their hair looks pretty. But the
Mhm.
thing you're not gonna see my eyes glaze over. I don't care if she's the most beautiful woman in the world. I don't care if Beyonce walked into the room. My eyes aren't gonna glaze over. I'm not gonna
Right.
get tongue-tied because I don't like women. There's nothing she can do for me. So
Right.
that's what I'm saying. Michael is cute, but if you're straight, if you're really straight, you shouldn't be getting excited if you're a dude when you see Michael. And that's
Right.
all. You can go back and watch that scene. That's all I got to say on that. That's all I got to say. So Becca, I think there's a reason why you didn't get the D. Okay, he wasn't intended
Uh-oh.
to give you no D. Okay, maybe Michael he might.
Oh.
That's all I can say on that. So we move on,
Yeah.
and the next couple up, speaking of queer, I mean this lady right here, she calls herself queer, so I'm not saying nothing that she didn't say.
Right.
And I don't have a problem with it. I'm not against gay people, just so people know. Gay lesbian community. What do we think about? So we see this scene with Lauren. Okay, let's start here. We
Mhm.
see this scene with Lauren. She's they're getting a pedicure. They went to this nice spa. Her and her girlfriend. They meet up, and you know they're being taken care of. They got their champagne and the little champagne flutes. And she's still talking about Orion. Orion says that he wants to get together with her. He says he wants to be her friend. He says he's going to get in contact with her. And then the text messages stop. What do you make of that, Kimberly?
You know, I feel like Orion just keeps stabbing her, just keeps trying to kick her while she's down. This is why I don't feel like people should go back. You give it
Mm,
your all while you're in it. When you leave, be done. Because now Lauren is thinking she's holding like the deciding post, but Orion is still running the game. Because Lauren said that she sent some long paragraph to Orion, and all he responded was, I need to think about this. Or probably wasn't even something that simple. He was just like, let me process it. And then he didn't respond like the next day or so. That proves that he does not want this woman. He just wants to make it look good for the camera, just to
yeah.
make it seem like he tried. And I'm glad that Lauren said she's already gone on dates, but I hope she's okay,
Mm,
within herself. I hope she's doing the work to make sure she's prepared, not
yes.
to just go into another situation and ruin somebody else. But it was funny when she said she had car trouble on the date, and I'm like, is that your flag to say it's not time to date yet?
Did that remind you of that Risa Tisa story that's out
And
there on
then,
TikTok?
and then I hope y'all are listening to Risa Tisa, because that Legion is something else.
He is something else. That's a whole nother story. But
Yes.
I just wonder what did you think about on a first date that she's out to 2 a.m. in the morning? Did that sound like that was a good idea on a first date, or is it just me?
Nope, that's not good, and I've been guilty. I have been guilty. Janice Hilton is the one that taught me that you don't spend a whole lot of time when you're dating with the person, like countless hours or long dates. You do maybe an hour, at the most, a 2 hour deal, and you be on your way to make them miss you. But no, I thought that was very sad. I'm like, oh, she doesn't understand. She doesn't have anyone coaching her. And so just can't wait to see what happens.
Right. I agree with you. I think Janice is another one that is a Janice Hilton. She's here
Yes.
on these YouTube streets, and she does give very excellent advice to
Mm-hmm.
uh, women of all ages. I was going to say young, but nowadays you could be going through a divorce. You could have already been
Yes.
divorced and you looking to remarry.
Mm-hmm.
Janice is an excellent. I recommend her to some of my single girlfriends that are
Yes.
having trouble. I got a couple of girlfriends that have never been married, and they're middle age for sure. And
Wow.
when I talk to them and they tell me about their dating style,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like shudder because I'm thinking to myself, you're making some very crucial mistakes early on in your dating. And that might have
Mm-hmm.
been the guy for you, but because you're doing so much
Mm-hmm.
early on and letting this guy see that you're just almost desperate to get married, desperate to
Yes.
have a man.
Ooh.
Men don't like the smell of desperation. I'm gonna tell you that's
Nope.
not a good smell. Mm-mm.
Nope. But they will take the free ride.
Oh, girl, they'll take them rides any old time, any old day, any old place. Kinda like
Yes.
Emily. Kinda like Emily. She'll take
Yep.
it too. She'll take
Yes.
all the free rides. Oh, Emily.
Right.
And speaking of the devil,
Mhm.
our next and last couple is Emily and Brennan. Let me get that off the screen. Um, So we see Emily, and I thought this was really, really interesting. Well, first, let me do Brennan instead. Brennan, I thought had an actually good scene. They edited him in a whole different way. I don't know if you guys caught that this episode. That Brennan is now getting the friendly. Um, he's getting the friendly edit now. And
Yes.
then as I look back and I think back on scenes that he's been in, and we thought that maybe uh, Emily could have been involved in some kind of DV situation with him, that he was such an
Mhm.
angry guy, that he was always cutting her off, that he was silencing her. And now I look at it in a totally different light. I do think that he does have an anger problem. I will say that. I
Mhm.
think that he gets angry. I think he gets very frustrated with Emily because she's drunk all the time. She drinks too
Yeah.
much. Like she doesn't know when to say when. And she goes out in public and she's drunk and she's knocking over folks' glasses at the wedding. She's
Mhm.
talking about the vows are horrible and they're so vanilla and embarrassing him because that's not very ladylike. That's just not. I
Exactly.
don't. I don't know where her mother is in her life or if her mother has done any training. I think perhaps because she's been involved in sports and been around her father a lot, she's lost that ability to look at what's actually feminine, what's considered ladylike. Sleeping around is not ladylike. Hooking up with
Mhm.
strange guys that you meet, you haven't even been on a second or a third date with them. And before you can get to a third date, they're ghosting you. Girl, what
Right.
is going on?
It says a lot.
Says a lot. Says a lot. But so I was gonna say about Brennan. So we see Brennan in this scene. Getting back to what I was saying about Brennan, we see him in this scene, and I think it was really telling that he's talking to none other than Michael, Chloe's Michael, and he was trying to give advice. And Michael was pouring out his heart and venting to Brennan, saying that he is getting a little nervous now that he is married. It's
Mhm.
very stressful. He's having his doubts. And I love what Brennan said to him, because Brennan said, basically, he says, but you guys have so much working for you. You
Yes.
guys are actually the good couple, the strong couple. And I thought to myself, see, this is where these couples, we see that when they put these all of these married couples together, it's kind of like the blind leading the blind. When one couple has problems in their marriage, they're sharing with the other couple, getting advice from somebody that they don't know what they're doing. Why are you asking them for marital advice? Why don't you call your mother and your father and ask them for marital advice? If they've been married
Right.
10, 20, 30, 40 years, or whatever age you are, they've been married all those years, or even if they're on a second marriage, I'm going to say, but they're doing well, you should be asking
Mhm.
these people for advice, not a newlywed, not a,
Right.
you know. But anyway, but I think he gives Michael some very good advice. He tries to give Michael, because see, now you're talking about in the chat, you remember you were talking about that Chloe is high anxiety. Michael is
Mhm.
experiencing anxiety also. He's just a little cooler about it, and we don't see it externally, but we see internally a person that can't make their decision and can't make their mind up and is wishy-washy. To me, that shows anxiety, right?
Right.
But Brennan gives him good advice and says, "Hey, listen, why don't you treat this like you guys are still dating? Why don't you
Hmm.
date her and collect more data on her? Get more. What is it? Janice Hilton always says that dating is for
Collecting data.
collecting data. Why don't you
Yep.
get more information? And what would you say? What would you recommend, Kimberly? Come on, jump on in here. I'm talking too much. What would you recommend that maybe Michael do if he has questions about this whole farm thing and the foster kids? What would you say?
I would say speak up. And even if he doesn't know how to properly, relay the message to his wife yet, because, you're still learning how to communicate and what works, I would reach out to the experts, ask them for their opinion, say, hey, this is what Chloe's saying she's wanting. I'm really not feeling it because XYZ. And they can help him package it up nicely because they have the expertise in communicating with people. This is what they do for a living, so they could
Right.
help him package it up so it wouldn't make him seem broke, or just not supportive of her. They could help him in a way where it could seem like, hey, yes, I'm supportive of your dreams. I want to help you reach your goals. But right now, I don't think that is the best for us. And like you said earlier, maybe they could just adopt a child and, co parent with someone else. I see people
Mhm.
do that a lot for Christmas, where you just go buy the gifts and you hang out with the family, you
Yeah.
buy meals. You could do that every
Yeah.
month. It doesn't have to be just
Right.
Christmas. You could do it every single month.
Yeah, kind of like I like what you're saying too. That's a good idea, and that's a good place to start. Kind of like
Mhm.
almost like a big sister, big brother, but they could do
Yeah.
it together. Be big
Yep.
sister, big brother together.
Mhm.
Get whatever certification that they need. The government or the state runs a background check. Everything is
Yes.
good. We could do that. Yeah, and
Yep.
see, start with one because there's no way. And speaking of high anxiety, I do agree with you that Chloe does show signs of having high anxiety, and I think she has mentioned that she's even been diagnosed with that issue or that
Mhm.
concern. Okay, so and no, that's not the problem. But the thing is, don't jump into something like if you're just learning how to swim, you probably shouldn't go over to
Ooh,
deep end. You should probably
right.
start on the shallow end and learn to swim. And then as you grow and you master swimming, then you can go over to the deep end,
Exactly. Yeah. But I think
So
Michael and Brennan's conversation was good. Like you said, now they filmed his good side this time because, like Brennan said, at this point in the game, just focus on the positive. Are you happy? That's what matters at this point. If you're
I think,
happy,
yeah.
yep,
Go
just let's take it from where we are, focus on the positive, and just build on that. Don't just nail in on the negative right now. Maybe after decision day, you can kind of revisit some things, but definitely, I would make them experts earn their dollar. I really would. Like,
Yes.
to have an
Make
expert on standby. Oh no, I'm using them.
Yeah, because some people call them the fake therapists and fake
Yeah,
experts. Oh,
expert,
no. Oh, you're
but
talking about the fake
still.
therapist. I think he's talking about he or she. I don't know if it's male or female. They are talking about Claire, I believe. So I'll take that
Oh,
down. But yeah, make the real experts,
yeah,
so-called experts, make them earn their keep.
yes.
I think the other thing of it too is I think we're going back to Chloe and Michael. I think the other thing of it is I don't understand that on decision day, if you guys are actually getting along, and it seems like Chloe and Michael have a lot of areas where they vibe. They vibe
Hmm.
obviously physically,
Yes.
hot and heavy time wise. I think they intellectually they seem to stimulate one another. They both
Yes.
like pets. They got almost a half a dozen pets. They got 5 pets together, and the pets even seem to be getting along. I would say my thing is why is everybody worried about if you are getting along with your spouse? Why is it a big deal to just go ahead and say you both say yes? You
Hmm.
give your spouse this assurance that you know what I feel like we're getting along. What do you think? Find out what they're feeling, and they both agree. Let's say yes, because what's the deal? The two of them can't get an annulment because they've already admitted publicly that they've had hot and heavy times, so they can't get an annulment. I,
Oh,
I
that's
see these
right.
I I see these other couples not having hot and heavy time, or at least they say they have it. And I see them
Hmm.
as people that are maybe rushing, trying to get to the courthouse and get to and say that, well, since we didn't, consummate the marriage, let's get an annulment. But
Yeah.
Michael and Chloe, they can't do that. So I just see it as, why not say yes, stay together, give it
Hmm.
a chance, because obviously at 40, almost 40 years old, these two are, you haven't found anybody else that wanted to marry you. You say you want a
Right.
spouse, you want a forever person, and you seem to have found somebody that's digging on you in that
Yep.
way. That person is attractive, they're working, they're fully employed, and this and that. So why not give it a chance? What's the
Hmm.
big deal? I just don't
Right.
understand. But back to Brennan, because we're actually on Brennan and Emily. So I was just saying that I think that Brennan did a real good job this time. Um, but on Emily's part, what did you think about her? She was talking to her friend, and she was talking about they were going to take this big trip. And what did you think about that conversation? Let's talk about that.
I'm kind of happy to see maybe her getting back out and doing what she loved, which is traveling. They seemed a little too excited to be back with each other. It's like there was no tears, really no sadness. I guess she cried enough on the show, during the season, but
Mhm.
still, it was like she was just so excited to be back out traveling the world. And it makes me wonder, okay, are you just ready to go back and have random hookups again? Do you really regret that? Because I don't see how she could have that random hookup while married and filming. Like that just shows me there is no growth because you had no shame,
No
in
shame.
hooking up while married with a random guy just because you were drinking again. So it kind of makes me feel that maybe she's ready to get back out there and do that again, even though we know she, hints at not being focusing on that. But I would
Right.
love to keep my eye on her and see what she changes if she grows or
Yes.
learns anything from this experiment, or if she just goes right back to party drinking hot and heavy time Emily.
Yeah, because that's her. That's
Yeah.
the Emily that we met at the very beginning. And I always
Yes.
think about that line that always bothered me. She says, "I'm getting ready to marry some rando." You know,
Oh, yeah,
she
she
remember that they
did.
kept showing that all season long. I'm getting ready to marry a rando, and I said, you know what? The
Yeah.
way she says that, I think she's been saying that a lot. And then you can't forget with Emily, you cannot forget that at the bachelorette party, who can forget her doing a handstand with no drawers on and her whole thingamajiggy hanging out?
Right. I
Who
forgot
can
about
forget
that. And
that?
then
She's
Laura was hyping
disgusting.
her up.
She
Yep.
is disgusting. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I can't help it. If that's white girl wasted, I will never
Ugh.
be white girl wasted. Okay, not me.
Never.
I got too much breeding for that. So sorry, not sorry,
Yeah.
Emily. And
Yeah.
Emily, if you listening right now to my little small channel, the little channel that could, I want to tell you something. Keep Keisha Knight Pulliam's name out your mouth. You out here on these Instagram streets moving
Yes.
mad. Keep Keisha Knight, keep our Rudy's name out your nasty, filthy
Yes.
mouth. We don't know what else has been in your mouth, but we want you to
Right.
keep our pristine. She is happily married, has two
Yes.
beautiful children, and a handsome
Yes.
husband, something you have yet to achieve. So, girl, just
Right.
keep pushing. Keep wishing.
Exactly.
And on that note, Kimberly, tell them where I got where they can find you on the screen, but tell them more about what you do on your channel as we get ready to shimmy and shake on out of here.
Yes, come on over. Kimberly Reviews on YouTube and Facebook, and Kimberly Reviews underscore on Instagram. I enjoy watching the shows live as they are on whatever device you use to watch your cable TV shows. I also like, actually, I already said earlier, I post my travels, whether I go to a concert or visiting a new country or even something locally right here in the United States. I enjoy sharing with you all wherever I may be. And last and not least, but I love, love, love debt freedom. So I want everybody in the world to be debt free if we
Yes,
can. So that
yes.
is my passion, spending your money on you, not just your bills. So come on over. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Oh, you are so welcome. You are more than welcome. And I thank you for being here. You are excellent co-host, and I enjoy you so very much. And I'll see you
Yes,
hopefully again next week. And
yes,
hopefully Sean will be back. Sean, we have you, you're in our prayers. If you're back next
yes,
Sunday or the Sunday after, we look forward to your return whenever that is. Take your
right.
time and do what you need to do. But guys, we're
Mhm.
gonna shimmy and shake on out of here. We thank you for hanging out with us for this whole 50 minutes basically. We
Mhm.
thank you for that. We thank you for being here. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Kimberly's channel,
Yeah.
like this video, please, to help it go further in the algorithm, and make sure you put your notification bell on too, please. We'll see you
Yeah.
soon. We'll be back at 6:30. I'll be back at 6:30 for a Ready to Love recap also, okay?
Awesome.
Awesome. One more thing. I'm sorry. As I got over here, I wanted to put this up, and we're going to leave out with that. And here we go.